Hi, I'm Jackie.
And I'm Seth.
And this is Never TMI.
Where we talk about real things.
And nothing is ever off limits. Hi, guys. We are back with another episode of Never TMI. And today we're so excited to talk about just the postpartum experience. And then especially as it pertains to like your marriage or your relationship. Mm-hmm. Because it is a lot, and I feel like we're finally at a point where we can a little bit reflect. It's been like 2 months now, and this is baby number 3, so I feel like we're kind of getting into a groove to the point where we can talk about it a little bit and just kind of share our insights and experience.
Yeah. Does postpartum though have like a
time?
I don't know, like a medical duration for like what is considered postpartum?
They call it the 4th trimester. Each trimester is about 12, 13 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So
3 months.
Yeah, about 3 months is typically like.
I didn't know that.
I mean, postpartum is literally just after you had a baby. So I personally feel like it can last a little bit longer than that.
I'm going to be nerdy here and look up the definition for postpartum.
I like it. I think that could be helpful.
Because as I know we're talking about our experience with it, but postpartum.
I think, too, it catches me off guard how many things I still, maybe not as much physically, like as it pertains to like pain and all that kind of stuff, but it's like, they say it takes like a full year for things to even remotely be like quote unquote normal, whatever that means, with your body. So like full blown physical healing, if you're putting work into it, could be at the start, like a year. What does it say?
So I just typed in define postpartum.
Mm-hmm.
First thing that comes up is postpartum means the time after childbirth. Most women get the baby blues or feel sad or empty within a few days of giving birth. For many women, the baby blues go away in 3 to 5 days. But then...
postpartum is...
Yeah. Other things say postpartum period begins after childbirth, typically considered to end within 6 weeks. However, there are 3 distinct... And it goes into...
Yeah, the 6-week mark is just because that's when you can, like... Mm-hmm. Have sex again. That's when you can, work out again.
So it literally means the time after childbirth.
Yeah. So it can. It's just
what we thought. Nothing
crazy. I would say for us, I don't know. I feel like postpartum kind of is a blur sometimes, but for us, I feel like this time might have been emotionally and relationship wise the most difficult.
Absolutely. I think before we even get into that, though, what was your postpartum experience this time around?
Like physically?
Okay. Yeah, just like, I don't know how many male viewers are out there, but just, I think it does help to understand.
Yeah.
And obviously everyone's different. So I think that's a great question to ask your wife, but like, hindsight being 2020, mm-hmm. Can you describe like...
I don't even know if we're fully in the hindsight part, but...
You know what I mean? But like, describe the actual like feelings that you're feeling.
Yeah, no, I think it's just that. It's like, I think it's a very isolating time. It's a very primal time, and you're just like, what is it, trugging along? Tregging.
Tregging.
I feel like we need like a blooper reel of all the things we say wrong on here. But it's a very lonely season. Like, you're just doing it by yourself. And it's kind of like pregnancy where no one can really do anything about it. Like, there's nothing you can do. You can definitely make or break the experience. You could be so helpful. You could whatever. But there's no one can like take away the pain. No one can do childbirth for you. No one can like take the experience from you or lighten that load physically. It just is what it is. And so postpartum is the same way. And I feel like this time it just felt like too much. Like, I feel like emotionally it was a lot. I think because no one really knows how you're feeling. No one really is in the bathroom with you, doing all the steps and like, yeah, no one's like bleeding while you're talking and you feel that like gulp in your pants. Like no one is with, no one can feel that. So it's like you're dealing with so much just by yourself. And there's nothing you can do about it. So I think that's the hardest part. And again, I never want to be a place of like negativity or like, oh, it's awful. Like it's it's doable. All of it's doable. And my feelings about pregnancy are the same kind of as postpartum. It's like, it's so worth it and it's fine. And it's just a part of it. But it can be very lonely. And it is, I would say physically was not that bad. I would say physically it was okay. I would say my hemorrhoids really might have been the longest lasting piece of it that was really painful and frustrating and difficult. There was this like I think I got like a couple stitches. I mean, I didn't tear badly. But I did get nervous because there was one little like stinging thing that lasted 2 weeks after everything else. So like that was not only annoying, it was just like obviously painful, but it was just a little scary because I'm like, okay, is something not healing right? Like whatever. And then I would say, physically, when I look at myself in the mirror, I weigh more than I ever have, postpartum. And I think that has been hard. Like we just went to Florida. We went to 30A for vacation, like a family vacation that we've had planned for so long. And I knew it'd be difficult. Like, it's like we're 7 weeks postpartum. I knew it wouldn't be fun to like be in a bathing suit and stuff. But I think when you're just, I don't know, when you're in it, like half of me, and I said this on Instagram, actually, I said like, I've never been more insecure and secure in my body in my life. Like,
yeah, I've hit that place where you just embrace it, even though it's like,
I'm like, wow, this is not nothing cute to look at. Yeah. But I'm also like, I'm 3 kids deep. It is what it is. Like, and I also feel like I'm a woman. It's beautiful. We're working on it. Let's just deal. So I think from that standpoint, it's been okay. Mindset wise, I would just say, yeah, no one cares as much as you do. No one feels it as much as you do. As much as you tell your spouse, like, man, I'm having a hard time. It's like those hormones. It's like, I feel like I could blow sometimes and no one gets it. It's just like, oh, you're on edge. And it's like, yeah, I am. I don't know why, and I don't know, but like, it's a rage inside of you sometimes, or it's like a deep sadness sometimes, and it's like your hormones are doing its thing, and you're just like a vessel for them to do their thing, and that can be hard because it does feel crazy as much as it looks crazy, but no one gets it. It's just like, yeah, I'm sure you could like handle that a little bit better or whatever, and it's just like, no, literally, I feel out of control. So it's just hard. It's a tough season, especially when things on the outside might not be the best either.
Yeah. Well, I think you look fire, so I love it.
Out of all that.
My one other question though about the physical part.
Yeah.
How was postpartum different, if you can remember, between having a C-section and a natural birth? And it was the postpartum, because the C-section was a whole different animal.
Yeah.
Like, that's an actual surgery. And I remember, you literally have to let the wound heal,
yes,
the incision heal up.
Yes.
And that was I would say, I don't know if it's more or less
a pain in the booty,
but it was a process of like cleaning the wound. And
well, mine got infected.
And it got infected. It split open. So like that was even more.
Yeah, that was awful.
But like, so from on your physical body though, would you say one's easier than the other? Are they both equally as hard, just in different ways? Like, what's kind of your take on that?
So obviously I can only speak from my personal experience, and I know there are people who are like I prefer C-section, and that's always so interesting to me because I feel like I would never prefer one. But that's just me, and everybody's different. So I would say physically, for me personally, none of it's easy. Don't get me wrong. But I would say my VBACs, my vaginal deliveries, that healing just felt a little bit more natural. So one, a C-section is literally surgery. So that to me just felt like this wasn't supposed to happen. Like, and that sounds bad, but it's like physically, I'm like, you literally cut into my stomach. So like you cut into my uterus with a tool. Like it just felt a little like the healing felt harder just because it was like this isn't natural. This doesn't feel natural. And it did feel like a surgical procedure. And afterwards it felt like that. It just felt like, okay, there's a wound that I'm literally like, I don't know, that's healing that wasn't supposed to be there. Like I have a scar somewhere that wasn't supposed to be there. So I think that's just how it felt. I think it was a little bit harder just because you can't, you can hardly, I think you can't lift more than the weight of your baby. But like I couldn't lean over the bed to grab, Michael right now, I can just lean, stretch, roll her over, pick her up with one hand, like, plop her on the bed. I could not even twist. I couldn't sneeze. I couldn't, laugh for a few days. And although everything was fine physically down there, you're still bleeding. You're still like, everything kind of feels the same. So I would say vaginally, it just feels more natural. And that area is just naturally heals quickly. It heals like it's supposed to. Like our bodies heal themselves. So
okay.
It just felt a little bit more natural and a little easier.
Yeah, no, I
That
get
makes
that.
sense.
So then let's move it into then more the emotional side, and I think this will apply more to marriage, and I think us as men, again, it's hard to relate to a woman. At least this is what I've learned. It's really hard to relate to a woman on the physical aspect of giving birth. Like I can't imagine ever doing that, and I'm so thankful that I don't have to. And I'm so thankful that you willingly do so. Like that's a huge sacrifice for our family, but any family. Like
Yeah, it is.
women going through that. And so I think, men can't bear the physical burden, and sometimes that's hard, to not be able to help with. But the emotional burden, I think this is where I really dropped the ball this time around, is just, and I don't remember the other times.
Yeah,
sure
it is hard to remember the
there
other time.
as well, but like
No, this one definitely felt
being
heavier.
fresh, it was just, it's really hard. And I don't know if it was having multiple kids. Like with Kennedy being the first kid, I felt like all of our attention was either baby
On
or
her,
mom.
totally. Yeah.
Same thing with baby number 2, except a little bit more divided. I think it's like when you hit that third kid, you're outnumbered.
You usually
Now,
feel like chopped liver.
Kind of, but it's like even our efforts they kind of have to be divided at this point based on the age of our kids and stuff like that. Like they're not fully independent by any means. And so it's kind of like if Jackie's with the baby, I'm with the other 2 kids, or vice versa. And I think that really kind of I'm out of sight, out of mind, in the sense that if I'm not around, or like, and again, I would say my number 1 love language is acts of service. So if I'm not around to actually serve Jackie, I can tend to forget, like, oh, maybe I can send her a text or leave her a note, or, do other things to make her feel loved or special, or like even just quality time to sit with her in her emotions. And so I think that's something to really think about, because yes, hormonally, but then also just like the sheer act of caring for a baby. Like I think that adds such a emotional toll. Lack of sleep, like we were talking about this the other night, there's so many factors
Mm-hmm.
I think I called Jackie out. I was like, "You seem a little on edge today. Like, what's going on?" And it's just I forget that we're still in that postpartum season. So I'm
Yeah, and
glad.
it's like sleep is such a thing, and I feel like this is the
Absolutely.
first time postpartum where you're not waking up like in the middle of the night. We're kind of out of that like diapers phase, but even in the beginning it was like, what can I do to help? And it's just like, I'm sorry, thank you, but there's literally nothing you can do. So I'm still not getting as much sleep, and I think I think it's a good point too that you make of like, okay, I'm out of sight, out of mind, like all these things. There are so many things that could help that I feel like if you're, a spouse to someone who just had a baby, like you're a part of that too. And we do have, that's part of the sacrifice. Like we have other kids. You are a part of that, and that is helpful, even though it looks and feels different than like you catering to me.
Hmm.
It is helpful because I can't imagine having all three of them all the time, so it's like a different form of help. And I think part of my job and my role is to be able to acknowledge that and to not think like, wow, he's just not thinking of me at all and he's not helpful. It's like, I think it's a shift for everyone, but I do, I think every day, if there's like a moment of, what could she need or what could help her? What could I do? Like,
Hmm.
can I send her to a hotel for a night? Can I get her a pedicure? Can I,
Like be out of the box things that
yeah, like
aren't
it
just
doesn't
like
have to be
the
like,
same.
here's a
Like, oh, I
text
made
and
dinner again. It's
yeah,
like,
no. It's like be creative. I mean, that was a big, big, big sacrifice and she's probably going through it. So like,
hmm
being conscious, even being aware of like, we're in this together. And I think that this time might have been one of the hardest parts is that you were in it too. Like you're struggling too because we have other kids. So you're kind of like watching it's not like we kind of get a break. We're both tired at the end of the day. There were times that I was like, man, what can I do for him? Because this is a lot.
hmm
And so I feel like it's easy to get selfish when you have more than one kid, and just in general too. It's like even with Kennedy, it's not like I was the only one having a hard time. So
And I think even now, still being in that postpartum thing, it's like Evan, who's our
oh my
second daughter.
gosh, yeah,
There's definitely like an element of, I don't know if it's separation anxiety or
I
just
think it
like
is, yeah,
something with, so
or
she's
just clingy,
extremely
yeah.
clingy right now with Jackie. And
Hmm.
just, I don't know if it's her realizing that there's another baby
She
or if
wants
she's
me to be the
just
only one changing her diaper. She
going
wants me to
through it.
hold her,
Yeah. And so that creates a lot of pressure, and,
and just stress.
well, there's
Yeah.
lots of factors that create multiple avenues of stress that I think us as men need to consider in the
Mm.
grand scheme of things. And the other piece too is like that I can personally relate to the physical aspect of like,
Mm-hmm.
pleasure, even like having sex, like,
Mm-hmm.
and not only pleasing your spouse but also like being pleased. It's just like that. It's almost like the season. I don't know, and I'm thinking out loud here, but I feel like it would really help me if we ever did this again to
Mm-hmm.
consider pregnancy as a year instead of 9 months,
Oh,
because
absolutely.
it's like I feel like after.
Well, postpartum is its own thing,
No, I know, but you never hear, at least till this time around. I've never really. I knew what postpartum was. I know it's a real thing, but it's like the reality of it seems so much more this time around.
Uh-huh.
And it's like I feel like me personally, after the baby's born, it's like, yep, we were in the hospital, we check out. I know the first couple weeks is going to be an adjustment, but you move on. And it's just like I think I can even rush the season of postpartum of just
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not in it, like I'm not going through that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So as I think about it, it's like almost adjusting the mindset to a fourth term, like you said. Like I think that when you said that, I was like, oh, that's a great
I mean,
point.
there's like a book on that. You know, people do treat it as it's literally called the fourth trimester. Like, because I mean, it's been 2 months and carrying the car seat. It's like I feel pressure down there, and you know, it's like things heal and stuff, but like your body it takes a while. Like your abs are separate. Like there's your core, like things are permanently shifted. My hips, those ain't going back. So like I think it can be easy. And I mean, women are tough, women are strong, and I feel like, at least for me, my personality is not like a whiny baby. Like I'm not going to complain everything that I feel, and there's times that I will complain because it's like, no, I need you to know I'm really having a hard time and I'm frustrated, or this is like I'm not as good as you think I am right now. Like, and I think that can be a strain on the relationship because it's like you think I'm fine, I'm not fine, and I'm just trying to not make our lives miserable here, but like I need a nap or whatever.
I just think though it's the perception that it, like as
Totally.
we're talking through this, it's like my perception has always been 9 months,
Yeah.
and it's like,
Yeah.
and even when I found out that like 9 months, 40 weeks, I know it doesn't exactly add up, but like when I first found out that the average first time baby is like 41.6 or something, that like blew my mind. I was like, wait, there's something after 40 weeks. Like I thought it just was 40 weeks, and so it's just like like getting that perception changed in my mind that no, it's not just a 9 month term. I mean, obviously, and that's probably the last point we can talk on is like schedule, how we adjust our schedules around it, and in postpartum, and maybe some tips about that, but just like really adjusting the mindset to expect a year's worth of adjustment before things are, and then obviously there's adjustments with having a baby in the house and all that, but like for you physically, and again, first trimester is usually bad. Second trimester, I feel like is a little bit of a break sometimes. Third trimester, you're getting super uncomfortable, and so there's ebbs and flows in that essentially year span. But having, preparing for essentially a year, like in my mind, if I say, okay, we're gonna have another baby, whenever that is, I'm mentally preparing to serve you well for a year regarding this birth, this baby, this pregnancy, this postpartum experience. Like that needs to be my new mindset going into it, I feel like.
Yeah, and if you are like, I feel like you're super type A, and that helps. Like having that kind of
definitely
mind for it's like, okay, there's a task in front of me, let me tackle it. And I do, want to touch on sex quickly, just because I do feel like there's such a disconnect there too. Sometimes it's like when you can look fine and you're flirting and you're having fun, but it's like, okay, but also I'll never forget a midwife, at like a postpartum appointment. She literally was talking to Seth and said like all her body is focused on is making milk, like feeding the baby. Like there's something inside of women postpartum where like we're unfortunately not thinking about like, because it's not like, oh, I don't feel like having sex, so it's not like I don't want to pleasure you. I'm not even thinking of myself, It's like there's not much inside of me these days that's like, man, it's been a long time since I felt good. It's like my body doesn't care about that. Like we're focused on the baby. So it's not even a selfish thing. It's not like, I'm sorry, I'm not in the mood. It's like, I'm not in the mood for me either. Like and I don't know why. But it's like, it's because your hormones, your body, like it's all adjusting. And sometimes you like hormones are so unpredictable. Not everybody's that's why some people get baby blues. That's why some people just are in bliss. That's why, everybody's hormones are different. So for one person, their libido might skyrocket. For some people, it might be absolutely nothing. It might be plummeted. You just don't know what your hormones are going to do. And so I think that too, having like shifting your perspective to understand not only, for women, your own body, like not feeling like, man, what's wrong with me? I literally am not in the mood for sex at all. Not only that, I don't want to be touched. The feeling, Seth would like touch my boobs sometimes and I'm like, literally don't touch me. Like that doesn't even feel good. It feels like terrible because I don't know. That's the way that my skin body hormones feel right now. So instead of feeling like, man, what's wrong with me? Like, what is happening? It's like, that's normal. Whatever's happening to you is happening to you. But then for men too, to just have like a moment to be like, okay, like what would you want? If tonight you would rather have a foot rub other than like trying to force having sex, like, let me do that for you. Or being a little bit more patient. We didn't have sex until like 7 weeks postpartum instead of 6 weeks. And I know it's like 6 weeks, today's the day. And even I was excited. I was like, man, but it's like, do I feel 100% ready yet? Like, I don't know. I like, it just still felt like we were a little bit in the thick of it. So I think that's important too.
Yeah. No, it's good. I feel like I learned a lot, even just talking through it again, or just I'm reminded of how much I don't know because we don't experience it, but there's a lot of it. I think it really just comes down to selflessly serving you, and how, and it's hard, like a year,
that's a year.
It's a year.
Yeah.
And that's a year of you obviously giving up your body for this
baby. It's like, so you have to be selfless.
It's not an easy season for anyone.
No.
I think. And that's not to say that it's a dreadful one or that it's not beautiful. It is. It's those things. But like from the, the physical, the emotional toll that it takes, there's definitely a lot of, and I think I'm really glad that we've been in counseling through this pregnancy because the emotions, even
just our relationship, like our communication, I feel like we're growing and changing.
Right. But even the emotions in the house, I think with kids, it's like,
oh my gosh,
we might be perfectly fine, but our kids are just really having a tough day or something, and that can drain my emotional sake like so fast. And knowing that, we have to come back, be on the same page, and kind of reconcile with each other at the end of every day. There's a lot to it, but
no, yeah, absolutely.
No, I'm really proud of you, and I'm glad we're getting out of this postpartum season.
I know. I feel like it was rough, but it was good, and I feel like I learn every single time. Like this time from the last pregnancy, this time I was like, I really don't want to complain. I don't want to complain a lot, and I feel like I look back and I notice like I was way more conscious of it, and I didn't complain as much, So it's like, okay, looking back on this time, like I have stuff that I can, Lord willing, we get pregnant again the next time this happens. It's like, how can we maybe I want to focus more on our postpartum experience because it was really hard. And I think, like you said, kids and just like having 3 of them and instead of 1, and just the stressors and all that kind of stuff, I feel like it was quite a bit, but it doesn't have to be if you're intentional about it. And I just feel like we lacked intention this time. I think we were just kind of winging it. So having a plan next time, I feel like would be a good thing. And if you are pregnant, start thinking about postpartum maybe, like, because it hits you in the face. It literally can hit you in the face. And, 3 weeks go by and you're like, oh, we're not doing so well. So I just think that is probably one of the most important pieces of it. But
no, and to that point, the last thing I'll say, this is the first time I feel like I can, because we've always wanted a large family. But the way I would say that this postpartum experience has gone, and I would even back it to like 36 weeks and on. It was just like those last few weeks of being pregnant are miserable for you, and it's just from then on, I feel like there's a lot happening.
Yeah.
This is the first time though that I can really see that our desire to have a big family isn't just
have more kids.
It's like we have so much to work on if we want to, if we want to have another kid, which we do. But Jackie and I have so much to work on individually, let alone in our marriage, let alone as parents.
Yes.
Before I feel like
kids.
I praise God, His mercy is new every morning, and we have His grace is sufficient. So like, He's never going to give us more than we can handle. But these are desires of our hearts. But I'm understanding that for us, like if I still really want this, there's a lot of work for us to do before I feel like we would really even be physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally prepared to take on another kid in this world for our good. Like obviously, if
we want it to be a good experience,
we would figure it out. But it's like for us to operate optimally, and to live as the people that I think we should.
Yeah,
we have a lot of work to do, and this is the first time I'm really seeing and understanding that it's not just let's have another kid. We
want a big family. Let's do it. It's like we want to look back and
maybe that works for some people, but I feel like we both came to that conclusion of like, well, we have a lot of work to do, a lot of planning, prep that would need to go into doing this again.
And that comes with having a vision for your family, and I think we do. Mm-hmm. And I think, in order for us to get there or to fulfill that, like, we can't just, hope it happens. We got to make it happen.
We have to continually be growing and maturing, to support the vision. So
support the vision, baby. Thanks for listening, guys. I hope this was helpful, and we just appreciate every single one of you. And if you enjoyed this, we love and appreciate when you guys rate or subscribe. That always means so much to us. It just helps our channel to be discoverable by more people, which is the goal here. We do this for you guys. So,
have you told them about the new page?
No, I have not, but we will. Okay. Don't want to get too soon, but I will. We're working on having like its own, page so that things can just kind of be all in one place. But we'll get into that another time. We just appreciate you guys listening, and we love you.
All right. Again, I'm Seth.
And I'm Jackie.
This is Never TMI, and we're signing off.
Peace out.